And in today's video, we're going to do the rendering of all starters. So we'll just go in. First, I'm just going to add a layer. I'm going to use a multiply layer here. Oh, oops. Synced to my tab. We're going to use some shadow just beneath the eyelashes, like so. And I'm gonna try to just use like base brushes, so that way if you're following along you don't need to figure out how to make any custom brushes for this tutorial. So next we'll just go to our eye. I'm gonna use my airbrush, and first we will choose a dark color. So I'm kind of up, if you look at my little color square here, when I come down here, not all the way down, but I'm coming pretty dark here. I'm gonna grab a decent size airbrush. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna put my eyebrows on a different layer. I didn't mean to put them there, but that way they're not gonna get messed up. So anyways, so I'm going to start from the top, and for this first step we're basically just trying to make a gradient. So then I'll make another layer, and then I'm going to go really dark, and again just a soft airbrush, slowly but surely filling in so you can get some nice smooth colors. From there I'll come down to this bottom portion, and I'll grab a pretty vibrant purple color here, and I'll use a slightly smaller size airbrush and just kind of push up into this shadow like this. There. From there we'll make another layer, and I'm going to select, so I'm going to come up to the top of our little color selection here so it's nice and bright. Gonna come a little bit more towards the blue, and now I'm going to use a hard shadow brush. So this one's basically just like what we were using before, but this time the opacity is a lot denser. So from here we can add in some bright spots. I'll just go with something like this for now. This will be kind of the base of our area where a bunch of light is catching. I'm going to use a blue color just kind of inside. Like so. I'm just trying to make like interesting shapes in here. That's really all I'm doing. You don't have to perfectly follow along. It's just kind of make shapes with these colors. There we go. Like that. And then I will grab a yellow color to finish it out. Like this. Then using a soft eraser, I'll kind of go back through what we just did and erase the very tops of them kind of towards the shadow. And now we've got kind of a bunch of colors in our eyes. At the very top of our eye layers, I'll make a new layer. I'll turn it to a color dodge layer so that way we can really brighten and color everything at the same time here. And then just with a soft airbrush, oops, I'm just going to use a purple color at the right side, then kind of a pink at the left of each eye, like so. I'll make another color dodge layer, a little bit brighter pink, and then put it right there in the middle of our eye where all that color is. That way it kind of semi blends itself, so it's not as just like jarring different colors. And we'll end with a multiply layer, and we'll grab kind of a dark part up here, and we'll just follow this eyelash shadow like so. There we go. Like that. So then what we can do is we can come to the top here, above the actual eyes themselves. We can go full white, because remember, for our base colors, we kind of use an off-white, so don't go all the way white here, because that then lets us use an add layer at pure white with our hard brush, and we can add little areas where the eyes are catching a lot of light, like so. And it'll still pop even when we lower the saturation a bit, like that, or the opacity, sorry. So I'm just going to move on. We'll get all the eyes done, and then I can go back through and just kind of recap. But for now, this, okay, good, those are on a different layer. Okay, so just like before, we'll start on our eyes with the white portion here. I'm just going to take my G pen on a multiply layer and give a nice shadow. This time we'll give it more of a shadow than last time, so that way we can kind of play with a darker eye, like so. From there, we'll use the same method, but because we're using a different base color, the colors that we use to sort of accent and add some pop to the eye, that will be different. But the steps will be the same. So first we're just going to make a gradient with our airbrush with a semi-dark green. Then on a new layer we'll use a very dark green just at the top, like so. Then we can grab this bright green portion on a new layer and then make it a little bit brighter. And this time we'll just kind of really push it towards the very bottom of the eye, because remember, we're going to have a big shadow. So we'll do something like that. Then we'll kind of choose like a sort of turquoise color here, nice and bright. And we'll keep our eye light just sort of here at the bottom. We don't want to push it up too far, because then it gets into our shadow. Then make it nice and bright. Choose sort of like a yellow green, just sort of filling it in. Then I'll pick a blue color. I'll give it just a little bit more pop here. I'm just sort of adding little streaks of blue to the eye. And then just like before, I'll go back through with my soft eraser and sort of erase the very tops of these. Like that. Then we can come in with our color dodge layer, and we'll kind of use a bright green. And we'll hit the very edge of this eye like so. Then I'll use blue for the left. Then I'll just soft erase kind of the top where all of our shadow is going to be. Then I will use my multiply layer, grab this dark green, and I will do that, just meeting the shadow that we established with the whites of our eye. Then I'll kind of soften the base of it like that. And then again, we can use a add layer above our eye, and this time we'll just have small light streaks like so. Okay, And then the final eyes that we'll look at, these brown ones. So again, just going with a multiply layer here for the whites, nice and dark, adding in the eyelash shadow. I'll kind of soften it. Then we'll go to our eye here, the main portion. Use our lighting brush, go nice and dark. And use not a giant airbrush, but a relatively large one, so that way it covers a lot of space and blends nicely. If you go too small, it can be tough to really get a gradient, so you definitely want it to be, you know, just about as big as like the area you're working in. If not, then you can go bigger, and it will just help the gradient look nicer. But now I use a dark color right here at the very top. Then this time I'll kind of come up here with like a red sort of orange in our hard shadow portion. Or not hard shadow portion, sorry, the lighting portion. And this time though, I'll use kind of a small light brush. So I'll still get the bottom of the eye good, like so. But then I'll kind of push up into the eye with these sort of streaks. And then from there, I'll make a new layer, and I'll kind of grab this dark color behind our pupil. And I'll just sort of make this shadow a little bit bigger. Then on a new layer, I'll grab this orangey color, and then have like a true sort of bright orange now with our hard shadow brush. And I will add sort of a horseshoe shape. Like so. And I'll kind of erase as it gets closer to the top of the eye with a soft brush. Then we'll pick a nice bright sort of yellow color. Fill in here at the bottom where it's super bright. And then to finish, go super bright, sort of pinky red color. And then again, just kind of erase here at the top with a soft eraser. Then we can add our color dodge layer, which I will use a red color dodge for the right. And keeping it really soft, like it doesn't need to be extreme. And I'll do yellow for kind of the middle and left edge. So that way it really brightens it up a little bit. Because we still, even though our eyes are brown, I still like to have them reflect a lot of light, so there's a lot going on. And then we can go to our multiply layer and then finish it out. So we'll match our eyelid shadow like so. Alright, so just a quick review of what we did. Oh yeah, we can also add in some light here if we would like to. So I'll just come up here. This time I'll just use my G pen. So they're super bright. I'll even add a spot in the pupil. And then I'll erase them kind of towards the center. There we go. So that way they're not just, you know, white dots like that. But you can make them look a little bit more pleasing to the eye, so they're a little transparent. And I like to kind of pick like a point. So this time, like the center of her head, the closer they get to the center of the head, the more transparent they become. So it just gives the eye something kind of interesting to follow, so it's not all just the exact same. So at least for me, I like that. So you can do it too if you would like. If not, no big deal. But anyways, now moving on to our overview. So for these soft sort of cutesy eyes where there really is no pupil in them. It's kind of a style that you'll see in anime every now and then. I like to just really accentuate the brightness of the eye, so lots of like fun sort of colors, and really experiment too. You don't have to use the same exact colors as me. You can use more reds, more yellows, whatever it is. Just try to use colors that accent each other well, and as you get brighter and brighter, it'll definitely it'll kind of, as you get brighter and brighter, your color selection will become more and more important. So just really mess around with it. Try to find colors and combos that you really like to make your character's eyes pop as much as possible. So keeping it nice and bright, using color layers to sort of further brighten everything at the end, as well as just kind of keep the true color, because if we're going for a purple eye, when it ends, I don't want the eye to be like blue and yellow. When I'm done rendering the eye, I still want it to look purple. So I can kind of mix in some pink in there, maybe some red with the color dodge layer, but when it's done, it still needs to look purple. So just doing something like that. And then same with the green. This time we went with a larger shadow on our eye, so that way we can kind of keep all of the bright portions just down here at the very bottom. We can let the shadow kind of do half the work for us up there. Still using the same ideas, and again, you can use whatever colors you want, just try to find ones that work well together. And same rules as before, but this time I like kind of making the bright portions out towards the edges, so that way the pupil can stay nice and dark and it doesn't look like it's really cutting into where the eye is catching a bunch of light. And then up here, kind of that same idea, keeping our brightest portions out kind of in the edges. This time I left some darkness out at the very far edges of the eye. That's sort of a style that I see in anime and manga every now and then. So we kind of followed that there. And for our brown eyes, don't be afraid to still add pops of color. If you're trying to keep the eye brown though, you're definitely going to want to try to stick with like oranges and reds and yellows. But once it's all done, the eye still looks brown, but it's a little bit more interesting than just sort of a dark, cloudy brown. So if you like that style, then you can certainly use it, but for characters that have the joy of life in their eyes, I enjoy really making it pop with, orange and red and yellow, stuff like that. So either way, hopefully you found this helpful, and now you've got some new styles and references to work with, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.